Hi, it's Mr. Baker here with another physics video, and today we're going to be looking at the environmental effects of power production. So today we're going to be looking at this question: what does climate change mean? And we're going to be doing that by looking at the environmental effects of electricity production. So what do you see here? So you can see the lights over Europe and the northern part of Africa there. And you can see Spain is all lit up. You can see the lights over Great Britain and France and Italy and Sicily. So we can see all around the coast where all the lights are. And so we've got all these lights, and all these lights here show the main parts of civilization where there's lots of electricity being used. And how are all these lights powered? Well, electricity. And where is that electricity coming from? So how are the lights powered? Well, by electricity, and that electricity in 2015 used these energy resources to make it happen. 2/3, 66.2% of all of the electricity used fossil fuels as the energy resource to power it. 10.7% was powered by nuclear power stations, and 16.4% was hydro. And you can see there were some others that made up the difference. But almost 2/3 of all of the energy resources used were fossil fuels, so coal, oil and gas. Another question for you: how old will you be in 2088? We'll have a look at this graph here. So it shows how our energy reserves of coal, gas and oil will reduce over the next 60, 70 years. So if you look down towards the x-axis, you can see time going all the way up to 2088, and the y-axis is showing you the energy reserves, the billion tons of oil equivalent there. So you can see at the moment we've got quite a lot of coal, quite a lot of gas, quite a lot of oil, but over time that's going to reduce down until in 2088 it's going to run out. So we need to find new reserves for coal, oil and gas, and if we don't, then those fossil fuels are going to run out, and we won't be able to power the lights or power anything in the same way as we do at the moment. So what's the answer? So we use fossil fuels to make a large amount of our electricity right now. Fossil fuels will run out before the end of the 21st century. We need to find other ways to produce electricity. So that's one of the problems that we've got. Another one of the problems is climate change. Let's have a look at the difference between greenhouse effect, global warming and climate change. So why is the Earth warm? So we have the sun, and the sun produces infrared radiation. That infrared radiation travels through the vacuum of space until it hits Earth. That means that the Earth gets warmer. Why doesn't the Earth just carry on heating up then? Well, as it gets hotter, it also gives off infrared radiation, and until there's the same amount that leaves as enters. And at that stage, then the Earth stays at a constant temperature. So the greenhouse effect is something that we actually need on Earth. So we have greenhouse gases that are a layer around the Earth, and these are carbon dioxide, methane and water vapour. They're the main ones. And what happens is the infrared radiation reaches the Earth's atmosphere and travels through it. So some of the infrared travels through and heats up the Earth's surface. So then the Earth's surface gives off infrared radiation, and it re-radiates this infrared back towards space. But because there are the greenhouse gases around Earth, a few go through, but you can see that some have been absorbed by the gases because there's a smaller arrow going through, and so that means that the greenhouse gases then re-radiate some of the infrared back towards Earth, heating up the Earth further. which isn't a bad thing. Without the greenhouse gases, then the Earth would be a lot cooler, and so life on Earth as we know it wouldn't be the same. Greenhouse effect leads to global warming, and global warming is because of the fact that over the last 50 or 60 years in particular, more greenhouse gases have been given off, in particular carbon dioxide, because of the way that we make electricity, and so the layer of the greenhouse gases has got bigger, which means that more infrared is radiated towards the Earth, which means the temperature of the Earth will go up even more, and that will lead to global warming. Now, global warming, as the Earth gets warmer, will lead to differences in weather and the climate, and so the global warming will lead to climate change. So that's how the infrared and greenhouse effect leads to global warming, and then how global warming then leads to climate change. So here is a graph of the models. So these are all different models of what will happen to the Earth's temperature over the next 100 years or so, or the next 80 years or so, depending on how much carbon dioxide and how many greenhouse gases are still given off. So all of these different models, but you can see that all of the different models show that there will be some warming. Some of the warming will be as much as maybe 6 degrees almost over the next 80 years. Some of them maybe just about a degree or so. So all of these models lead to some kind of global warming. The more the global warming, then the harsher the effects of climate change will be because of it. So this grey area contains predictions for several different climate models, and as I said, all predict warming, but there is a range of about 5 degrees between all of the different models. So this is what we've covered in today's lesson. You should be able to describe what the greenhouse effect is. You should be able to describe what global warming is. You should be able to describe what climate change is and how the production of electricity using fossil fuels contributes to it. So what does climate change mean? So climate change is the change in our weather patterns because of global warming, because of the increase in the greenhouse gases, that the way that we produce electricity in particular has the impact on those at the moment. Okay, so that's the end of the lesson on environmental effect of electricity production. I've been Mr. Baker, and this has been another physics video, and I will see you next time. Thank you very much.